Welcome to the video, guys. Diane Abbott appeared on BBC Radio 4 this morning talking about Priti Patel and how she should step down over bullying allegations. But in true Diane Abbott style, completely ballses up the interview, failing to answer the questions. She is lucky though that the BBC host is essentially a limp dick and doesn't challenge her on any of her nonsensical responses that are not relevant to the questions she's being asked. On the upside though, he did pull her and the Labour Party up for calling on Priti Patel to step down when they're trying to put John Bercow in the House of Lords, even though he's had numerous bullying allegations against him over the last few months, as you all know. Now we'll take a look at the Express's article on it before we actually hear from Diane Abbott and her car crash interview in regards to her nonsensical responses on Radio 4 earlier. The Express headline reads, "What about Bercow? Diane Abbott confronted on bullying as she calls on Patel to resign." Now, I Stand With Patel was trending on Twitter, and I have to say that I stand with her. She should not resign, she should tell them all to fuck off, especially if it's anything to do with the Pakistani rape gangs that reports have been saying it is. We don't know for sure, so we'll have to wait. Reports are suggesting it's either the rape gangs or it's her immigration policy. Either one has got them all a bit salty. Diane Abbott was confronted on her defence of former Speaker John Bercow against allegations he bullied his staff, despite calling for Home Secretary Priti Patel to step down for facing similar allegations. Oh guys, you should hear her response when they bring up Labour's defence of Bercow. It is classic. The Shadow Home Secretary defended John Bercow last month after he was accused of bullying behaviour by former Black Rod David Leakey. Miss Abbott had tweeted in response to the bullying allegations that David Leakey could not have been bullied or intimidated by the former Speaker, as he had been a Lieutenant General who served in Germany, Northern Ireland and Bosnia. I reported on that at the time. Obviously, Mr. Bercow denied all allegations against him and branded them total and utter rubbish, which is exactly the same as Priti Patel has done. But as Miss Abbott called on Secretary Priti Patel, who faces similar allegations against her by former Permanent Secretary Sir Philip Rutnam, to step down, BBC host Nick Robinson confronted the Labour front bencher. But rather than reading the rest of that, we'll check out the clips that we have from BBC Radio 4.
But we've now got the Cabinet Secretary, who is an official, carrying this out. He's being advised, we're told, by an independent figure called Alexander Allen, who used to be a very senior civil servant. So people would say, if it's a civil servant versus a politician, surely they'll be tough on the politician.
Some people might say that. I think that we want a genuinely independent inquiry. It doesn't necessarily cut across the Cabinet Office inquiry, but to restore confidence in the respect that the government has for its civil servants, we want a genuinely independent inquiry. We've had other allegations come up overnight, and unless you have a conclusive independent inquiry, this thing may run on to the detriment of Priti herself and the government.
So even though she heard full well that it is a civil servant heading the investigation, therefore it will be independent, she still rabbits on a load of old crap trying to get rid of Priti Patel, because this is more than likely a political stunt by the snivelling shitweasel Philip Ratnam and of course Diane Abbott, who can't resist an attempt at smearing Priti Patel and trying to undermine her because she wants her out. You have to remember that Priti Patel is probably one of the most right-wing Tories there is, and Diane Abbott is about as hard left as they come, probably only just behind Jeremy Corbyn and John McDonnell. And I really don't know what she's going on about in regards to the civil service respecting the government or vice versa. The government shouldn't give a shit about the civil service. At the end of the day, they've been taking the piss for years and years, not just on Brexit, but on a variety of other things that are just covered up. And these clowns are paid more than the Prime Minister and Priti Patel combined. So let's have it right, they should be getting told what to do and expected to do it. Philip Ratnam needs to man up and stop claiming he was bullied by a 5'0" woman, the pussy. And Diane Abbott, you need to stop talking shit because you just make yourself look like an idiot, as you're about to soon. Just wait.
Could she do her job while such an inquiry was going on?
I'm afraid it would be better if she stepped down. We are calling on her to step down whilst the inquiry goes on.
So the BBC host asks if Priti Patel can continue in her job while this bullshit investigation is going on. And of course, Diane Abbott, as we know, wants her out the door. So, even if she could do her job, in Diane Abbott's mind, that answer was always going to come. She wants to get rid of any Tories she can, and this little smear job is obviously another way of going about it. When, let's be honest, and it will be pointed out soon, the Labour Party are not exactly innocent when it comes to bullying or anything for that matter. But in my opinion, the BBC shouldn't even be interviewing Diane Abbott because it's got nothing to fucking do with her, and we know she's going to make it a political point to try and take down one of her rivals, who is someone she cannot call a fucking racist, which is where she would usually go. I expect David Lammy has probably already tried.
Now, you say you've seen nothing like it. You were, of course, a civil servant before you became a politician. I think you worked for the Home Office, did you not?
I did indeed.
The Home Office has been the scene of many battles over the years. David Blunkett complained in his biography, or I think a biography written about him, that there was Home Office policy as against Labour Party policy that they were determined to carry out. Ministers are entitled on behalf of us electors, aren't they, to say, blooming well, do what we tell you to do, because we've got a democratic mandate.
Ministers have a mandate from the electors, and this government in particular has a very fresh and emphatic mandate. But there is such a thing as a ministerial code. And if the allegations against Priti Patel, both by her former permanent secretary and the more recent allegations of a woman who had to be paid off, if they're true, she would be in breach of the ministerial code and she would have to step down.
Oh no, this BBC host has got her by the balls, pointing at David Blunkett, former Labour MP, who had run in battles with the civil service, trying to get Labour policy through. Because of course, the civil service must work for themselves, or they just started doing it now, and David Blunkett was lying back then. Diane Abbott, this is the first time you and the Labour Party have been caught up in some sheer hypocrisy regarding this matter, and I fucking love it. When your old MPs are complaining about it, yet you're on here saying this has never happened before, you're a fucking joke. The only thing that's never happened before is a senior civil servant coming out in a political stunt trying to favour Labour by the sounds of it. But the host points out to her, surely ministers have the right to tell civil servants to do what the fuck they're told because they have a mandate from the electorate. You know, the people that gives all of these jobs meaning. Now, of course, Diane tries to deflect it, claiming that Priti Patel has breached the ministerial code, which I highly doubt she has. She's told some people to get on with their fucking job, and if reports are to be believed, some of it was relating to the Pakistani rape gangs, and of course, the immigration policy that she wants to put forward, which we all know set Diane Abbott into complete shit fits, claiming it was racist when it actually stops favouring white European nations. So, kind of fucking hilarious, but it's Diane Abbott we're talking about here. And surely if she claims Priti Patel would be in breach of ministerial code for these allegations, what about all the allegations against Labour Party leadership in relation to anti-Semitism and the bullying of their MPs and party members? Shouldn't all of those people involved in those accusations also be forced to step down, which has just annihilated your entire front bench? Let's be honest with ya. Conveniently forgot that, didn't you, Diane Abbott-Potamus, you snivelling shitweasel?
Now, allies of Priti Patel say, look, she's a woman of colour, she is patronised, she is belittled, she is facing allegations that no one else would face. Remind you of anybody?
This is such a serious issue. This is not about things online or to and fro with interviewers. This is about one of the great departments of state. You cannot have a Home Secretary at odds with her senior officials in this way.
So the host points out there what some Tory MPs are saying, obviously playing the race card, much like Diane Abbott is very accustomed to, and has obviously received similar allegations in the past and claimed they were because of her colour or because she has a vagina apparently. It's amazing how it's different now when Diane Abbott is trying to take apart one of her rivals, which is what the BBC host is pointing out, which you can hear in Diane Abbott's voice. She is completely caught off guard by that and has nothing to say, because she knows she has used the exact same thing herself in the past, as I just said, and instead goes on to waffle a load of old shit about online or this or that when we are talking about accusations in the workplace, which is something you might have faced before and shouted down, claiming they were racist. Because she does not answer that question at all. She just rabbits a load of old shit, like I said, talking about how you can't have a Home Secretary at odds with her staff. Yes, you can, if they're not doing what they're told. They are subordinate to her. She tells them what to fucking do. This is the way it works. You know that as well as I do.
Now, the other thing that people say is the Labour Party's not always against bullying. I mean, John Bercow is facing very serious bullying allegations, and yet your leader, Jeremy Corbyn, is insisting on proceeding with a recommendation that he moves into the House of Lords. Women, Jewish MPs were bullied out of the Labour Party, and the leadership did very little to protect them at the time. Are you really just against this because it's a radical Tory in the Home Office? You don't like it?
What you have to remember with John Bercow is that there are about a dozen people in his office that he manages indirectly. He can't hire and fire anybody else. But with Priti Patel, and I know this as a former civil servant, the careers of the civil servants around her rest in her hands. This is a major department. This is a serious allegation. You cannot have a minister who's in breach of the ministerial code, and she should step down now.
So the BBC host has literally just shit on the Labour Party's parade when it comes to talking about bullying allegations. Because obviously, as was pointed out by the Express with their headline, the Labour Party are trying to put John Bercow into the House of Lords, even though he's probably got 4 or 5 or more allegations against him regarding bullying. And her answer is truly spectacular in its stupidity and irrelevance to the question. What you have to remember about John Bercow and his staff, the fact that he didn't employ them, makes absolutely no difference and is literally not relevant to what she was asked. She was asked, is she doing this just because it's her rival? And she goes on to waffle about John Bercow's staff not being employed by him, so I guess that makes it okay for him to bully them, therefore he should still get his peerage. Is she fucking hearing herself? It don't even make no sense, you dopey cunt. I mean, was there any part of what she said in response to that relevant to the question that she was asked, or is she just doing the age-old politician shit of deflecting it off with some absolute nonsense? Because that's what it seemed like to me. And the BBC host, let me tell you, does not challenge the absolute crap she comes out with once. None of her answers are relevant to what he's asked, yet he doesn't pull her up on it.
Just a final last word. We know you're going to step down once there's a new leader and a new shadow cabinet. You're about to lose control, your lot, of the Labour Party, aren't they? Keir Starmer's going to get elected. The left are going to lose their stranglehold on the Labour Party.
I don't know what you mean by your lot. The Labour Party...
Supporters of Jeremy Corbyn.
The Labour Party is the property of its members, and I believe that whoever becomes leader, and of course I'm supporting Becky Long-Bailey, the Labour Party will unite behind them. There's no your lot about it.
Diane Abbott, thank you. I hope you and your lot in inverted commas will come back and see us, even if you're not in the shadow cabinet. Thank you.
Now, at least the BBC host does mock her for her lot losing control of the Labour Party in relation to Keir Starmer and his likely win at the leadership election. But I don't think they're going to diverge too far. Keir Starmer is essentially Jeremy Corbyn protege with a different mask on him. I don't think he's going to be too much different. They're still promoting the same policies. He would still open the borders. He's still literally against everything that the people of this country want. So while he might not necessarily be as hard left as Jeremy Corbyn, it's essentially two cheeks of the same arsehole. But you can tell it gets Diane Abbott's back right up. She's salty as a motherfucker over this, which is always great news for me because I do love a salt mine. You heard her say the Labour Party is the property of its members, and its membership was swelled under Jeremy Corbyn so he could push his hard left policies. Don't fucking take us for an idiot, Diane Abbott. We knew what his game was from day one. He needed to boost the membership up on the left side so he could outnumber the moderate Labour members and take control of the party. We all know the membership was offered that cheap for that exact reason. But as usual, Diane Abbott thinks we're all stupid, when actually it's the other way around. So you can see there, a complete car crash of an interview. Well, it would have been an actual car crash if the interviewer actually took her to task on the bullshit that she pulls. But this is the BBC. They might as well be called the propaganda arm of the Labour Party in 2020. But on that note, guys, I am going to end the video there. Now, before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now, as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.
There is a pattern consistent throughout history of oppressed people turning on the oppressors. Slaves against their owners, the peasantry against the feudal barons, colonies, Mr. Verhofstadt, against their empires. And that is why Britain is leaving. And it doesn't matter which language you use, we are going and we are glad to be going. We're off.